Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to the Canyon. Welcome back to an installment of the Quick View series. Though this one, I don't want to oversell it. Oh, my hopes are so high. I'll just say, and those who know will know when I say apartment 1303. I have such high hopes. It is full predator weather outside. It is barely 50 degrees. The wind is still whipping and howling. You'll hear it clanging the building around. Rocks should be relatively clean. It should be a good one out there to test a trencher, but it's not a trencher. It's a clone trencher. It smells like the tire department at your local auto parts store. It's a trencher. It's not. It's right there. It's right there. Mixed racing. Mixed racing is a cause for excitement. Do you know why? Because mixed racing makes the fake tusk. Crawler tire. But they wrote it out in big letters on this one. Mixed racing. The fake tusk is actually pretty good. At least the set that I have. One of the highest scoring faked or clone or knockoff tires that we've ever experienced. Usually when tires get cloned, they get real bad. Mixed Racing is also the creator of, and yet a different font for the logo this time as well, a 4.75 interpretation of the Boom Racing Hustler. The Boom Racing Hustler is one of the worst tires we've ever tested. It is horrible in literally every aspect. This is slightly better than the actual Boom Racing Hustler, but only by virtue of the fact that it's taller. The real Hustler is a short, why? The real Hustler is a short little guy. So this guy had more ground clearance, and he benefited from that. So they cloned one of the worst tires ever made. And the compounds, it almost feels like it was molded out of the same stuff. So the higher score was because it had more ground clearance. Then they went and cloned the Tusk, which is my overall favorite tire of all time. Super versatile, fantastic J-Concepts green compound. It works on most any insert you put in it. And now they've cloned the Trencher. The Trencher is, among the ProLine tires, the one that I think is the most slept on. We're putting a Canyon Custom Soft, 2 wraps of fridge foam around an inner. This is an older one. This one has been around. It's not going to matter. It's not going to matter. The bench feel, the carcass is about as thick as the carcass on a tire on a 10-speed bicycle. It was provided with foams. Like, look at the way the camera picks up that foam. It's almost like a Vanta Black Void on the front. It is, if there was a definition of a foam that I would call hard, it would be this one. It's not as ridiculously overdense as some of the older RC four-wheel drive foams, but it is nonetheless really hard. It is also what I call an oversize undersize, which means it is not big enough to fill the tire vertically. It is not big enough to fit the tire width-wise, even with that thick carcass. And the hole in the middle is just, like, this is a 2-inch hole. They punched a 2-inch hole, and it's not quite big enough for the ring, or small enough for the ring, so it just slides through. So you'll get a foam that just wanders all over the place. And we try not to test on included foams unless there's no other option. See, you should have to exert some effort to get an insert into to get a ring into the insert there. Now, is it required to use any sort of bubble juice or anything to get it installed? No. The biggest issue that you have is the bead. The physical bead lip in there is thick. It has to be like 4 millimeters. It's enormous. Once you manage to get over the ledge of it, though, then you kind of have to untuck it, because the bead is one of the thickest I've ever seen. This is a tire that I think would be impossible to get it to pop bead in operation. I genuinely, because I think you could do this. We're not going to test it because it's windy and my hands will be cold. I think you could put one screw in it like that and that tire would stay in. The bead is so thick, the rubber is so heavy, and as I said, a tire shop smells like tire. It's rubber and carbon black to make this. It's rubber. These tires smell like rubber. The more crazy into the performance a tire gets, kind of the less it smells like rubber. And no. Smells like a bike tire. Feels like a bike tire. I get this feeling that it's going to grip. I mean, you know, how much climbing vertically on rocks do we do on bicycle tires? And I mean like a road bicycle tire. We're not even talking mountain bike tires. I didn't forget. We're gonna measure. Hey, what do you know? 118. They claim 120. No. No. Certainly not on the foam that it came with either. I'd call it 47. That, ladies and gentlemen, is a Class 2 tire. 118 by 47. On that list, if you went to the tire test spreadsheet and went to 118 by 47 plus or minus, say, 2 millimeters, so 116 to 120, 45 to 49, that would be 90% of the Class 2 tires. That is a Class 2 tire. And here is your... Oh, it was doing it! Okay. Don't you do it to me. Don't you do it. Do not be mediocre. Either perform or be abjectly terrible. And dang it, we were getting some squeak and some squawk out of that thing. My hopes for any tire like this is that it's just going to be the absolute worst, because then we'll have done something. If it does what I'm kind of afraid now that it's going to do, we're going to have this tire somewhere between like an 88 and a 91, and we'll never think about it again. Mixed racing. Shoot for the stars or aim for the core of the earth. Like, one or the other. How? And they are here's the thing. It's not just some generic... I was hoping that there was one on the rack, but there is not. It's not just some generic Super Swamper Rocks tire, TYRE, with no naming, no badging, sold by umpteen brands. The tire says off-road mix racing. They made these, or had them made. And they keep missing? Like, they've only hit once. I have received other tires that had a mix racing flag on the bag, but were just a tire shoved in a package, which, aside from a few vendors / retail / manufacturers, that's what you get. The fake Hyrax, everybody peddles one of those. Everybody. Pick a bundle of consonants or other Amazon brand, AliExpress brand. You can all but guarantee that they have a fake Hyrax. This is the first fake trencher I've seen. It feels terrible, and now I'm very concerned. Because it's starting to get real crowded in the sub-93 category. And everything tells me that it's going to get a little bit more crowded here in just a minute. Now look, I'm not saying that what I want is for these to be abjectly terrible, but there is a part of me that does want that. It is 54 degrees in freedom units. We'd be dead if it was Celsius, right? About 35% relative humidity. We have a soft breeze, probably 5 miles an hour, 5 to 7 miles an hour. Again, freedom units, coming out of the northwest, I would say. Hence the mellifluous tones coming from behind us. Slick Rock is the determiner. Slick Rock, if this shows any kind of ability here, that's what I wanted to see. That's what I'm looking for. Go the easy, there it is. Yes, my friends. Yes. That's a cruise control. That's a cruise control. Yeah, it will also help to like any compound that might be on the outside of the tire. Try to wear through it a little. We'll give it some decent. Do I see rubber already? I felt like I saw rubber already. Oh, these are terrible. Yeah, there's no mechanical there. You can tell by you get a little bobble back and forth. How about with a run up? I'm sorry, bud. Oh, that one's even. Oh. Oh. We do. It's like this. Oh, it's so. I love it. I love it. Yes. Okay. We got to break it down. Okay. The minimum mark for competency is a 9. We basically want to be between 93 and 99. It's a pretty narrow thing. We're looking at like wine. If there are 2 wines on a rack and one got a score of a 95 and the other one got a score of 88, you'd be like, why did they even sell the 88? So we're looking for 93 to 99. 9 is basically the minimum level of competency. Like we can repeat an obstacle, but well enough. Not to where you go, oh, 7.5 is you can do it and repeat it like at least once. Like we can make an ascent up the face of Slick Rock and then we can make it again in the same fashion, basically. And then you have a 5. And a 5 is can't do it at all. Like if we don't get up onto the wooden flat over there on the plane of our Hindu god up there, if we don't get up there, that's a 5. Now, there are a lot of ways to get around a 5. We can cut over here. We can just kind of squeeze it around. See? We made it to the top. So that's not a 5. It means we have enough traction to get up there, right? Repeatability determines where we fall. And we do the scoring with simple matematicas by going in halves. Oh, that was terrible. Oh, that was so bad. You see that whole slump to the side? We can go cruise control on pretty much any angle here, and we're not going to get there. This is a truly, and I mean this is an impressive lack of traction. Come on, come on. I'm just using cruise control and steering inputs. There it is. 7.5. Station 2. Camera 2 has too much carbon fiber in his tripod now. I always worry about him on windy days. He's so light now. Well, top heavy. Yeah, this is god awful. This is great. This is great. We don't get this enough. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. More throttle. Like we're gonna have to time him out. Like we're gonna have to give him a certain amount of time to try to do. Like we can't do this all day. Okay, that I know. Actually look kind of okay. But on the main part, we try center cut. Right. I feel like there might be an amount of throttle. Right there. No. nope, nope. Oh. Baseline knows. Sometimes you show up for work and you know it's going to be a rough day. It's going to be a rough day for him. All right, I'm going to give you one more shot at it. Yeah, their low speed performance is dismal. Oh. There's no predictability. Oh, so bad. Jeez. That's a mid-pointer. That's halfway between the 5 and the 7.5. And we do round up. That is a not often seen 6.3. A 6.3 might be one of the least common scores we see. Now what I'm going to need you to watch is mid-face slide. Like what kind of slip do we get in the middle of the side hill? Because the carcass is firm. The rubber is thick. The insert is really geared towards this. So yeah, we're definitely not going to drop into the bottom 5 because side hill is all about sidewall integrity, and these are firm. Also, the Trencher is a much better tire to knock off than the Hyrax. I don't know why more people aren't cloning the Trencher. The Trencher is one of the slept-on gems of the ProLine line. I mean, they're really bad. I think it's going to show more in when we get into where positionability gets valuable, unless we can wedge that sidewall in and then just use pure mechanical. This is a good testimonial to the Trencher. I think the Trencher is a good pattern because I don't know if it's that compound dependent. Like on this side hill here, this is doing well. If you made the carcass significantly thinner and the compound softer and stickier, it would do worse. That was a reason, that was honestly, that trended towards good. That was above a 9.0 for that. We just watched a tire do a 6.3 and then follow it up with a +9. That might have never happened. These are just some of the beauties of testing mixed racing tires where truly, when you cut that bag open, you have no idea what you're gonna get out of it. So we're definitely not gonna Dutch 200, AKA Dutch 9.5 this. That's a lot of throttle. You'd think you'd see something in the way of lateral movement. But the real test here is doing the bypass here. We do the shuttle, where we try to grab edge right there, and then pull that rear tire up over the lip. Ooh, come on. Yeah? or not. These are industry firsts. Yipe. These tires are doing stuff I've never seen a tire do before. You got it, guy, you got it. It's so terrible. It's so terrible. Like if you never showed these to a rock, period, you could probably, like if you just drive through the parks and the dales and the glens and the woods, these might honestly be okay until you hit mud. I think they would load up real bad. Oh, there's no directionality to a Trencher. Oh, so yeah. Oh no. Oh, they're terrible. There you go. There you go. There you go. It's so little forward drive that it's honestly impressive. I mean, the trencher pattern is doing everything it can, but that rubber is so hard that there's a moment where just mechanically the shape of a lug catches something that it can catch and you actually get forward movement. But I mean, they're not even all over the place. They're no place. So this is where I expect it, the wheels to really fall off. Although we might get some nice mechanical binds and they'll work pretty well. Yep. Oh, I've seen significantly worse. This is all points due to the trencher itself, the tire they clone. When we get into any situation where we have to use the actual drive that the tire has in it, then it answers the question of, where are you going? You're going nowhere. Oh. I say this not even half tongue-in-cheek anymore. I say that many of these products, these certainly included, come out of factories in the Far East, as they used to call the region, where people are making things that they don't even know what they're making. And I mean that goes all the way to the top. I don't mean the people pulling the physical tires out of the mold. I mean the person who, yeesh, use of this term seems hyperbolic, engineered it. It is round and it fits on a wheel. What do they call it? It's a toroidal something. What a tire? The actual geometric shape that a tire is. It satisfies those requirements, but like, you could not really do much worse. I mean, you can. We've had failures more abject, but they're definitely going to be bad. But I'm always looking for the worst. In the vein of suffering for content, it is supposedly winter. I've heard reports that it's the middle of the winter right now. The sun is very warm, but that wind is cold. That my hands are like, I can't feel my fingertips. It is very hot and very cold at the same time. That's the desert, baby. One of these three tests here, it's not going to be this one. It's not going to be Daphne's line. One of these three tests, I think it's going to be surprisingly good at, because it hasn't really backed up a truly terrible performance with a truly terrible performance. It's kind of bouncing back. Oh, that was so bad. I don't think these have got it in them. Come on, prove me wrong. Hey. But can you do it again? Yeah. Big tough rubber. Oh, but not a chance under this toasty sun of getting this side. There's not enough drive, and where that front tire gets, there's not enough grip to pull the front end over. So we're currently sitting on a 3.2 point differential, which is absolutely wild. Okay, yep. That right there, what you just saw on that little V-shaped maneuver right there, that was like a 9 in terms of the bare minimum level of drive, the absolute bare minimum level. Because we give it that attitude like this, so that one tire is high, one tire is low, and we kind of, we paperboy it. We do a diagonal creep. Once that top tire catches, you can go. That aspect of it, you'd be starting off on a 9. The problem that the mixed racing Trenchers are going to have is because they're so thick, they act kind of dead. Yeah, that bump is pretty terrible, though. Yeah, the bump is pretty terrible. It's not super out of shape. It's just, you're only going to get so far. These should just fall so easy. It's pretty solid. I should have expected self-right. We've got a very firm sidewall. I think these might actually do all right. I cut it too soon. Simply by the construction. So firm. Yeah, it's honestly, that's like a mid-pack bump performance, genuinely. So on the self right, we'll go there. And on the bump, we're gonna go like right there. We've got surface transition and we've got wet. And the wet, that's where all of our hopes and dreams reside, because we pull a 5 in wet, that'll be a 4.5 point differential. And I don't think any tire has ever done that, has ever put a 9.5 and a 5 on the same board. So come on, mixed racing, you got it. Surface transition is something where the compound isn't super critical. It's more about the shape and composition of the tire, like what is your width. So if we can manage to get the nose over and do a little slide. Oh no, okay, no, all right, mixed racing, you do you. Prove me wrong, I'm fine. We have a level of forward drive so low, all we can do is dig a hole. It may well be possible that we cannot breach that. If the front end, if the bumper touches anything, the rear tires just start digging. There would be so little compliance on the included foam that, oh, and the bump would have gotten even worse because it would have had more rebound to it. It wouldn't have deadened the tire down at all. Oh, even that, like, it just slid. Ordinarily on this surface, because it's so loose, rigs can almost do like a dig turn on there. That's like a 4.5 foot circle on these. Like if we're on flat ground, look how tight this is. But when we get up on here, we need some lateral grip. The turning circle gets like 3 times the size. These are really, really bad at this. Oh my goodness. My goodness. I mean, there it is. That's what we needed to see. The tire itself, the compound of the tire, I think it's just rubber. just lowercase r rubber. These tires are made of rubber. And that's about what you get out of them. If they get lucky and they catch something physically, they will go. Otherwise, it can literally not save itself. That is the lowest surface transition score that I think I have ever given. I think back fondly / longingly to tire tests of the past where I can recall tires that have done 9.7 all the way down. Hey, 97. Tires that have done 9.8s. The 2.2 LP Tusk did 9.8s all the way across the board. Just 9.8s all the way down. No math. The math on this is going to be staggering. So this is where wet protocol pulls through, right? Right here. Right there. Literally right there. So this is great for us. Oh no, it's just coming apart, Captain. Look at that shimmy. Get that good shimmy. Oh, by the way, there we go. While transitioning from one station to the next, I did take note that these tires, believe it or else, have no physical wear on them, despite probably having spent a minute and a half just spinning in cruise control. Those in the know might be asking, does that hose still have a hole in it? You know it does. The only thing I use that hose for is wetting down for the wet rock test. So you know that hose still has a hole in it. Let's wet them up. A little puddle down the bottom. Let's get them wet them up and ready to spin. No fives for us today. No fives for us today, everybody. Actually, could it be? Could it be? Yeah, I can't tell that they're wet. I can't tell they're wet. These tires are human fingers. Look at that. They lack the sensor to tell when they're wet. Yeah, these are really bad. Luckily, even with a level of wet traction, if there was a surprise today, it's this. I did not see these pulling. There we are, perfect. You can set the controller down. I did not see these pulling more on wet than on dry. That was not on my bingo card. So it took me about a minute to go through and do all the math because, you know, my method is I just take the differential between 10. So on their slick rack test, I got 7.5, so that's a 2.5. So I add all those numbers up and I add them. But those numbers added up to one of the biggest numbers that I've ever seen. So I need desperately to, he's been on cruise control the whole time. I need to go to the tire review sheet and I need to see where we ended up. We had to end up somewhere near the very, very bottom. I was worried that we might not get the worst thing that we've ever seen, and we haven't. We are in 78th place. We have displaced a tire. This is the Mix Racing fake trencher in a compound in rubber. The compound of these tires is called rubber. We had no fives, and I think that was the difference. The final score, if my math is correct, because I did it without a calculator. Oof. Oh, I saw a little shimmy there. Is a 66.8, which displaces the baby Klurm, the fake KLR-M, and they were a little tiny, like 4.25 or some weird measurement. He's getting a little squeak. I feel like I'm abusing him. So 66.8. No, we got to stop him. I'm baseline. I do apologize. He's having a rough morning. 66.8. The baby Clerm's at 64.0, and then the tire that sits right above them is the 2.2 Boom Racing Hustler MTX, which scored a 68.6. So these managed to do even worse than that. Even less for, well, you know what it comes, it's just clearance. It comes down to clearance. There's some spots where a big full-size 2.2, those are what? Yeah, 545s, are just going to clear more stuff. So we definitely got bottom 10. That's fourth from the bottom. Starting at the very bottom, the Remo Hobby 1093, the one that we can't seem to defeat. The Boom Racing Hustler, the G-Made MT 1902, the Baby Clerm, and then right in between, and then we've got these. Then we've got Boom Racing Hustler 22s, the Super Brickerk, the Fake Champs, which were the 1.9 Hellhounds, where I believe was the S, a $sign on Hellhounds, I believe. Then we had another set of Trepidors. We had the big old Chanmus, the 3.0-inch Black Widows, G-Made MT 901s, fake Baja Claws, fake Hyrax. We've got all these tires in there. You don't hit a name brand other than Boom Racing until you're 10 or 12 steps up the list. These are truly terrible, but they couldn't quite do it. We've not yet found the thing that will unseat those Remo hobbies, which were incapable of doing virtually anything. We have driven drag slicks here that did better. You have to set out to make a tire this bad. Honestly, if you took a bunch of pencil erasers, don't give me any ideas. If you took a bunch of gum pencil erasers and hot glued them to a rim, they would perform significantly better than these. It's truly impressive. Fifth from the bottom it's pretty good. It's pretty good. You're right in there. You're in Boom Racing Hustler territory. That's genuinely impressive. And we couldn't give it that 5.0. The 5.0 would have done it. It would have done it. It would have been the worst tire ever tested. No. It would have been the second worst tire ever tested. So close, but so far, we very nearly made it. Nevertheless, I thank you all so much for watching. I do love a quick view / junk view. We look forward to the next one because we search for the ridiculous and the sublime and everything in between. That's like the 121st or 122nd tire on the spreadsheet. So everything is a data point, you know. Somebody needs to graph it. Ooh, make a graph. I don't know how to make graphs. I do know how to thank you so much for being here, as I was halfway through. I look forward to seeing you in the next one. In between now and then, please, one and all, do your very best to have a good one, everybody. We'll see you again here from the canyon. And the chances are that the tire we see next time can't be this bad. That makes me happy and sad. I'm not trying to be a poet here. We're not trying to drop bars here at the end. It's just that it's rare that. Ooh, I think he might have had a drive shaft rubbing on a rock. He sounds a little. I'm sorry, bud. He sounds a little rough right now. We'll see you again. Tune in next time. Thank you so much.